Ladies and gentlemen, my name is TotalBiscuit. Welcome to what will hopefully be a fairly long series of the Old Republic coverage pieces. This will be done in the style of the Cataclysm coverage. Before I go on, I must apologize for my husky voice right now. And not my H to the husky voice. No. Unfortunately, I was down at the Insomnia 44 LAN event. I cast for 20 hours this weekend. And I also caught a cold from my co-caster, so thanks Apollo, and as a result, my voice is a little wrecked. But that does not mean that I can stop working. I have a very busy month. So, the non-disclosure agreement has been lifted on Star Wars The Old Republic. Now, this beta is currently quite closed. There is a testing weekend, which is going to be for stress testing the servers. That's very easy to get a key for. However, for the most part, I believe it's only for those 2 days. I have access to the full game. Have had for a little bit of time. I haven't really had much time to play it, as much as I would love to. The problem with playing a game like this is you really want to film, but unfortunately, I've not been able to do so. But I have been able to film, of course, at various expos and such. So, what I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to do character creation. I'm going to show you all of the options that are available to you. Now, as I said, I'm going to do it in the style of the Cataclysm beta coverage, so you're going to see a wide variety of different types of content, mostly based on informative. Any playthrough stuff will be edited and commented in post, and what I will also do is, bearing in mind this game is extremely story-driven, I will mark in the title of each video whether or not there are actual plot spoilers. So that is something that I know that a lot of people want to experience for themselves. Those who don't really care, then they can watch the other stuff, and that will be that. But this video is strictly based on character creation and aesthetic choices and races. We're not going to be looking at classes just yet. That will be in another video. So, when you go in, you've got your choice of faction right here. Galactic Republic, as you can see, and the Sith Empire. We shall start by having a look at the Galactic Republic, and I'll show you the character creation options there. We will simply skip through classes and things like that. Now, you will get an intro video. Most of you have pretty much already seen that intro video. The intro video for the Sith Empire is taken from that really nice CG video that you've seen for ages. There's very little point in showing it to you right now. So we'll focus entirely on character creation, and the Republic one is also something you've seen before, just with some narration on top of it. Alright. That trooper looks somewhat overweight, I have to say. Okay, let's have a look at what we've got. So you've got classes right here. And the nice thing about this is you get a lot of information before you start. But I'm not going to look at that now. So we're just going to go with Jedi Knight straight off. And then I can show you what the other classes look like with their default sets. We can have a look at that. There you go. That's your Jedi Consular. That's what your Smuggler looks like to start with. They appear to both have mustaches. I'm not really sure why that is. Please bear in mind that beta is beta, and you may find bugs and crazy stuff going on here. And the Trooper. They're all pirates. Apparently not. Alright. So we'll start by creating a Jedi and show you what's going to be happening here. Alright, so you have a species choice here as well. All of these also have a social ability, as you can see. So it's kind of like a racial trait. Humans, as you can see right there. You can click repeatedly to randomly generate certain versions of them. Apparently all of these Jedi Knights are extremely overweight, for some reason. The Miraluka right there. Those are the guys that don't have eyes. You should remember these. There is, of course, a Miraluka character in, I believe... Is it number 1 or number 2? God, it's been ages since I played Knights of the Old Republic. I can't remember if it's number 1 or number 2. I think it's the second one. But I could be wrong. Twi'lek, of course. There's various variations on it. We'll go into some more in-depth character creation in a moment. There's a Brak. Yes, indeed. You should remember these fellows. Especially if you happen to watch Phantom Menace. And the Moralian. Who I'm actually not all that familiar with. But they are green, and that guy looks like Mr. T. Alright, we'll start with basic human character creation, and then of course we'll pop back to the more advanced race, probably just have a look at Twi'lek as well, particularly since people will be interested as to whether or not you can customize the brain tails. Alright, let's see. Okay, so basic gender choice.
I've dedicated my life to serving others.
Okay, bro. You've also dedicated your life to hamburgers by the looks of it. Let's see if we can do something about that. There we go. You can actually have a full-on very, very stocky build of character, which it's kind of neat to just see the option, really. You don't get that in a lot of games. Everyone's perfectly toned and such. You can make an ugly character. Alright. Once again, this is beta content, which means that this Character creation could be incomplete. They can very easily add more variations going in here. Now, what you can do, which I do like here, is you can randomly generate, but you can lock one specific thing. So I want to randomly generate a guy that has been eating too much Space McDonald's. So there we go. I can do just that. That's actually, and then it's like I could say, huh, okay. I actually really like that combination of haircut and beard. So I can lock the beard, and I can lock the hair, but I don't like his eye color or his skin color, and that does not make me a racist, but it just doesn't suit him. So I can change it around a little bit, but I can keep the stuff that I like. So this is actually a kind of a cool way to generate a character. You don't have a huge number of choices. I mean, this is not Skyrim level of customization right here. That should be blindingly obvious. And it's going to vary from race to race as to how many options you have in terms of heads. I mean, for instance, the human male has 24, and then you've got scar options going up to 17 different potential scars here. 47 complexion options. Apparently there are 8 different eye colors. I was not aware of that. And then you've got hair color choices as well. Now, needless to say, hairstyles, hair colors, and so forth, these are all going to change as you go through the different races. And then, of course, you just punch in your name, and that's that. It creates at that point. So we're going to go back and have a look at some of the other races, and then we'll go and have a look at the character creation for the Sith. Miraluka right there. You can choose to have the... I believe you can actually choose to have the headwear or not. So let's go and have a look at that, shall we? We'll go with...
Helping others is both a duty and an honor.
The female right here. Yeah, you actually have masks, so this is customizable right there. Some of these are pretty awesome. Some of these are quite silly. That, I think... Wow, okay. That's great. I can make a clone of Beautiful Joe. How wonderful. And then, of course, the other stuff, scars and things like that. Different head types, body type. Can you make fat Miraluka? You can, in fact, make overweight Miraluka. There you go. Incidentally, if I don't see 5 million characters called Boba Fat, then I will not be pleased. I don't know, will I? It's difficult to tell. Because it's a nice little leap in terms of a hilarious joke, but also it shows a lack of originality from you guys. So, shall we make overweight Twi'lek? Yes, of course.
I've dedicated my life to serving others.
There we go. Yes, so you keep claiming. There we go. Now, you cannot, in fact, customize the brain tails, but you can customize the patterns. So, if we were to go around there, you can also zoom in on pretty much any body type part that you want. There we go. So I have to have a look at that, and then I can change the patterns on the tails, as you can see, and then alter skin color. So I can make someone that looked something like that. And then, of course, you can lock and unlock. And we'll have a look at the one right here. Zabrak, of course. How many Darth Maul clones are we going to get? Let's find out.
Helping others is both a duty and an honor.
Now you have a lot more options here in terms of skin color and things like that for obvious reasons. Can you go red? Well, you've got 36 different shades. Funnily enough, you can't actually have a full-on red face, but I think it was mostly face paint and things like that. Change your horns and hair around there. Scars and complexion. Only 6 different eye colors for these guys. It's interesting that they vary the number of eye colors on a race-by-race basis. And there you go, you can have your sort of tattoos right there. Can't customize the color of the tattoos, that's something I would like to see. Although you can customize your skin color, which will vary things somewhat. You can have a red tinge, but you can't go full-on red. Alright. Skip back there and have a look, might as well have a look at the last race since we're looking at that, and then we can go have a look at the Sith. Alrighty.
I've dedicated my life to serving others.
Alright, there we go. Complexion, eye color. We'll just skip through a few random choices right here. As you can see. Various facial tattoos available. They did, of course, put in that classic hairstyle. We couldn't really do without that, could we? Alright, okay then. That is a look at the Republic's class creations. So, what we'll have to do is go all the way back there. Customization on the basis of, like, your class doesn't really appear to make an awful lot of difference. You will customize your species just in the same way. You can pick... I'm fairly sure you can pick every species for every class. As you can see, all 5 available. for everyone. I'm gonna have a look just and see if that actually affects it. I'm pretty sure it doesn't. Except, actually, the Trooper. That's an interesting difference. There was no Twi'lek Trooper. Huh. Why is that, I wonder? We're also missing the guys who can't see. I can't remember their name. But you can also have a cyborg, humanly enhanced. That's interesting. Considering the other classes seem to be pretty much the same in that regard. You got your 5 choices right there. 5 choices right there, of course, as well. And then if you look at your smuggler, you got cyborg there. Ah, I see how it is. So they restrict this class right here. And indeed this race, the Miraluka, can only be Jedi. However, if you're a cyborg, you can only be a smuggler or a trooper. So there are some race restrictions. Yeah, I thought there were. I didn't notice it at first glance because there's actually very, very few. It's much less extreme than, say, WoW was on launch, for instance. But I did notice on the forums there were certain debates as to whether or not this should be the case. I don't know where I fall on that, honestly. I mean, if there is a specific in-game lore reason in a highly story-driven game to not allow certain races to be certain classes, then I think I'm okay with it. If there is no reason for that whatsoever, then you may as well allow it. I'm going to err on the side of caution and say that BioWare probably have their reasons for that. Alright. Okay, so let's return to this right here. Now, there will be yet another video, which, as I say, I will cut out. It's just because you'll have already seen the video. There is some narration. If you guys are really interested in the narration that goes over it, then I will post it. Alright, evil music in the background. Okay, so your 4 classes: Sith Warrior, Sith Inquisitor, Bounty Hunter, and Imperial Agent. We'll be talking about those in a future video. Alright. We'll go forward with Sith Warrior for the moment. Okay, so your allowed species for Sith Warrior are human, Sith, cyborg, yes, indeed, Sith is actually a race. That is, in fact, true in canon. And Zabrak. Much more evil-looking Zabrak. Sith Inquisitor, I believe, will have the same choices. Actually, it does not. That is interesting. That adds another one into the mix, the Ratataki. Interesting that the Ratataki can be Inquisitors, but not be Sith Warriors. Interesting. I wonder why that is. It is, of course, a possibility that they just haven't implemented it yet in the beta, so... Once again, take all this content with a pinch of salt. Bounty Hunter, human, cyborg, Zabrak, Ratataki, and Chiss. Oh, yes. Some of you may remember that. I believe Thrawn was Chiss, if I remember correctly. I don't know a huge amount about the expanded lore of Star Wars, but I'm pretty sure I remember that. And Imperial Agent. Human, Chiss, cyborg, Zabrak, and Ratataki. Alright then. Let's have a look at the Sith Warrior then. This will also give us the opportunity to have a look at Cyborg, which we have not seen. We missed that over on the other side. So we'll start with your basic human options here. See if there are any different things. It would be interesting to see.
Looks like it's time for a bloodbath.
Yes, thank you. I'll have to play Sith because of the British accents. It will be interesting to see as to whether or not they have different options depending on what side you pick. I think they probably do, actually, by the looks of it. We should do a comparison, I think. Particularly the cosmetics and tattoos are what interests me there. I'm almost certain you can't have that as a Jedi. I'd be very surprised if you could, so let's hop back and find out. So there are 37 cosmetics and tattoos on the human female Sith Warrior. So if we were to leap out of that for a second, there's a couple of my characters right there. Let's go back to here. Jedi Knight, human, and female.
Helping others is both a duty and an honor.
In fact, there are no tattoos at all. There are only cosmetics, which, as you can see, looks something like that. So yes, it does vary on a faction basis, even if you can play the same race. Interesting. Alright then. My god, you look terrible. In fact, you look like someone that I met while drunk at a goth club about 10 years ago. Alright. Let's go back to Sith and have a look-see, shall we? Yes, I have some very original names for my characters. Alright. So, we'll have a look, I think, at some of the more interesting races. Let's have a look at Cyborg. I'm interested to see what kind of options you have here.
I will bring the Republic to its knees.
What we will do is we'll just skip through a number of random choices to give you an indication of what's available. You can actually be quite short, as it seems. If you're going to play a Cyborg, of course, you have various cybernetic options that you can go for here. We are the Borg. You will be assimilated. There you go. There's your random choices there. They're fairly in-depth. I mean, you have more choices than World of Warcraft. That's blatantly obvious, but it is not as intensely crazy as I would like in terms of what you're able to do there. Alright. I'm going to hop back here and let's have a look at one of the other races. Zabrak. Intriguing that the...
Looks like it's time for a bloodbath.
Sith Zabrak looks significantly more aggressive and actually do have that skin color option. I wonder if there's a lore reason behind that. Once again, I'm not really big into the expanded universe stuff. So you can go full on red for that. Hair color seems fairly irrelevant at this point. Can you actually have hair as a Zabrak? You can. There you go. So you can enable hair and then customize that as well. Let's run through a few random options. Some fairly good choices there, honestly. As you can see. Alrighty then. What else do we have? You can go full-on Sith right there. The actual Sith race as opposed to the Sith Empire in and of itself.
Defy me and it will end badly.
There we go. Random through a few here. Oh, you can actually do random names as well if you wish. So if you're having that problem, then just close your eyes and roll the dice. All the Sith seems to have terrible haircuts. Perhaps that's why they're so angry. That's some fairly nice facial decorations, I've got to say. There's quite a lot of detail in that. Now, I'm not going to go through every option for everything, because that would just take all night. But yeah, you can see some of the combinations available there. Alright. So, what was the race that we missed? Well, I believe we need to go to another class for that. Sith Inquisitor should give us that race. The Ratatiki, and of course we can look at the Evil Twi'lek as well. Ratatiki are somewhat bald, it would appear.
That's somewhat intriguing.
Yes, it is. Alright. There you go. Bald guy, other bald guy, bald guy with stuff on his face, bald guy, fat bald guy. Yes. Now that's just silly. But yes, you have quite a few options there as well. Jewelry in particular, it seems to be a feature of this particular race. On both male and female. There you go. Facial tattoos. Reasonable number of options, honestly. It's got a strong character creation system. More so than previous games. Some of them, not all. And the obvious comparison is WoW, because this game is quite similar in many respects. And Evil Twi'lek. Go, female Evil Twi'lek.
Fear I smell, is it?
No, I'm sorry. I left the chicken in the oven. Okay. Curvy Twi'lek. I'm not even gonna ask. Okay. Quite a lot of good options there. It just, if I'm totally honest, it actually seems like the Sith have a greater number of cool-looking options. Whereas the Republic guys do seem a tad dull in places. There you go. Stripy tails. Alright. And I believe that covers all of the races that are available in the game at present. Oh no, there is one more, isn't there? Of course. Chiss. Let's go and have a look at them.
My activities are authorized by Imperial intelligence.
And my ridiculous haircut. Alright. Well, eye color isn't really an option with these guys, as you can see. Surprised that guy passed basic training. Good lord. That pretty much covers that. You don't have a huge number of options there, although the number of complex... you have 43 complexion settings, so you can be very, very specific about what you want to do with that. As you can see there, and these complexion settings, for the most part, affect eyebrow coverage and a few other things like that. Well, that's the character creation. We're not going to be doing classes just yet. We're going to do some basic class overviews in future videos, and then what I'm going to be doing is hopefully playing every class through to at least level 10, and then I can give you a skills overview of what you to expect. We'll do some playthrough content as well, so that you can get an idea of the story, how the dialogue system works, and things like that. There'll be quite a lot of this going forward. Obviously, I'm very, very busy this month. I've got to go to DreamHack in a couple of days, so once that is being completed, I will no doubt do a lot more on this game before the launch at the end of December. My name's been TotalBiscuit. Hopefully you've enjoyed this look at Star Wars The Old Republic's character creation system, and I will see you next time.